stands out in India. And usually in civil cases, injunction is a remedy restraining the person who's doing this. Supposing you want some pages to be blocked from the web, that can be done. Injunction, damages can be claimed. If it is, those images, delivery up of images can be done. They have to destroy that evidence. They have to give back that particular clip or that particular picture. And in criminal, obviously, the part is mainly recourse is related to punishment of the offender. Now, this brings me to one of the most important aspects of our today's webinar, which is the online safety tips. Right? I just wanted to crystallize a few things, on bullet points for you to remember and for you to have as a reference point. So one needs to keep information private. That's the first thing, because once it's gone out of your system or yourself, then it's very difficult how many places it will travel on the web. And even if you choose to delete it from one place, it will yet appear in another place. So that's one of the first things. One needs to keep one's information private, at least the sensitive information. There have been cases where people have posted their check-ins on some social media platform and realized that the house is burgled, or the house is, there is a problem at the back because you're traveling and there was a check-in, so the burglar knew on social media where to go and where would he get his final enrichment unlawfully. So that's what you have to be very careful of what you're putting on the web. Second is to choose your privacy of your security settings carefully, keeping the software or the OS, the system that you're using, up to date, because there are lots of glitches and patches, and the plugins which have to be kept updated all the time. Good antiviruses, anti-spyware should be used. You can choose to remain anonymous. You want to use Tor or other tools, travel the dark web. It's okay if you're doing it only to hide your real identity in order to maintain privacy. But however, I have a rider to this. It doesn't authorize you to commit crimes on the net or do other illegal activities by spoofing or hiding your identity, right? So then using the DNS, do not call registry. You can also block abusers, invaders, trollers, and report abuse on social media platforms. Or otherwise, you can contact the public grievance officer of these portals, and they will remove within 36 hours is the guideline if there's an objectionable content which is maybe personal to you. And in one of the cases, I've tested that. There was a woman who was abused, and her pictures were posted all over the web. And we posted, legal notices to these sites. And through various means, it's easy to even detect who has created a website. There are free tools available. You can actually check whois.net. There's a Wayback Machine. You can use as a interesting point to check how a site appeared few days back if it was containing a defamatory post or a personal information of somebody just posted to harass the person. You can go back on Wayback Machine tool and find how that site was, because later on it has been removed by the perpetrator. So there are various means to report abuse and block people, and also do some surveillance on your own, find how this was done, where it was, so that you can report it. Wi-Fi should be closed when not in use, secured with a password. Use WPA2 at least, not the earlier versions. Do not click on any attachments or download any free software. Nothing's come for free really. There is something hidden catch there sometimes. Sometimes not with the reputed companies, but yes, criminals find it as a way of just trapping people. And just perform the antivirus checks, reading the terms of use carefully before you agree, typing the URL of a website not in a search engine, but typing it on the address you pass, because there are a lot of sites which are fictitious. They will appear like authentic sites, but they will have a small s added or some other alphabet added, and maybe if it's a bank site, you can be in trouble. Maintaining backups, good strong passwords, keeping password managers. If you have multiple passwords across various platforms, create a password manager, software, take a license. Logging off from the account if using a cafe, or a public space. Making virtual keyboard when typing a password. Registering for mobile alerts, email alerts, OTP two-step verification. Don't discard old phones. Now that was one of the cases this has happened. Some old phone had been kind of exchanged for new, and there was a lot of data which was deleted by the user, but somehow it was recovered by the criminal in whose hands this fell. So when you're discarding an old phone, just make sure the entire data is removed, and if possible, to have a zero level formatting. I actually keep my phones with myself, and if you ask me, there are a lot of times when we've seen these criminal activities happen because of these discarded phones and data still on it. So try and ensure that is removed, absolutely removed. Do not leave your phone unattended with somebody, because identity theft cases have happened. Mischievous people tend to misuse the phone device even when they've been entrusted by the person or an employee, colleague, and they have misused this to send mails to somebody, or put some information which is incorrect or defamatory. Using password managers, I've already informed, but in the work from home culture, specifically these days, n number of IT policies we've done. I mean, it's crazy the way the world today is. You not only need an IT policy in place, but a work from home policy we need to make. And from the legal contracting point of view, the employer agreements have been amended in the last few weeks. We've seen a spate of, you know, I would say, queries relating to how we need to fine tune the current policies in our organization, how every business needs to protect themselves from invasion of data, which is secret or confidential to them, how the audit systems have to be changed in terms of the current practices, because now the work from home culture has emerged. What are the do's and don'ts we need to tell the employees? What sort of systems can we deploy, especially data loss prevention softwares, VPNs, the virtual private networks, additional firewalls on these servers, use of digital signatures, because people are still trying to work through home, so they are using digital signatures in order to protect their data and confidentiality of themselves and their organizations. And importantly, security awareness trainings. This webinar is one of them, but then we really need to have it on an ongoing basis. It is something that we need to ensure in order to protect ourselves and our information, whether it is an individual or a business. These parameters are the bare minimum, one needs to look into. The legal documents have to be in order, because if the policies are not in order, the contracting is not in order, and the blueprint is not there for the employees to follow, there will be instances of data loss, and there will be no tracking software on it. Then will be a huge problem. So during lockdown, these have been main concerns and online safety tips we've been sharing. And this national cybercrime reporting portal has been very helpful. One has been able to report cybercrime online, because in today's times lockdown, we are not able to go out. Local police stations, we are not able to go there. Another question here somebody would ask me is whether, what is the jurisdiction where should we file the police complaint? So in a number of cases, you see criminal cases, the jurisdiction happens where the offense is committed from. So if a person is committing an offense, it is usually that place. But if you don't know in the cyberspace from where this is being committed, you can also file it where you stay, your location, your area. And in today's times, you don't even need to worry about that. Simply go and file a complaint here and just resolve that issue. We've seen a number of defamation cases where online threats and extortion attempts have been made, or other kind of offenses, where either where the offense is committed from, or where the consequence of that is felt. So supposingly a person X is defamed, so wherever he stays, there is also a jurisdiction there for him to file a complaint. Ordinarily, those principles apply. And in cases of compensation, that falls under the civil domain. Civil courts look into it. In this case, adjudicating authority, who is the secretary IT of every state, he has been authorized to be that. They look into it. And there, the jurisdiction is actually attracted. For example, if it was a copyright case, it could be even the place where of business, or the place of business of this entity. If there is a copyright violation of theirs, they can even sue, there. Or a particular person, his information is stolen, even he can sue there. So that's how the scenario has changed, in terms of determining jurisdiction. You are able to determine, and it's always been on the side of the aggrieved party, because you can't expect the aggrieved party to go and in such a scenario and look for the person who's committed a crime in this cyberspace. So this portal will be handy. You can have a look at that. And